Right. Hi everyone. Really great to be here. Um, so before I start, maybe I'll just give you the backstory of why I started doing clay. Maybe you can also resonate with that. And I feel like this is a problem that would I say every SDR or salesperson, um, you know, goes through, and that's the reason why I'm doing clay right now. So a bit of background about me and my tech sales career. I started off as a BDR, right? I'm guessing everyone started off as that. I first started off as cold calling. I started cold calling people, and at some point, I was promoted to like a more senior BDR role at a company, at a tech company, an EMR company. And after that, I was like, you know what, let me learn more about digital marketing because I read marketing in school. And I, called up a couple of marketing agencies and I got a job at um, a marketing agency basically. So I did that for a bit. I was like, oh, this is not working for me. I don't think I like content, but I was like, I was doing a lot of content management. I was like, okay, no, I think I want to go back to tech sales. And then I landed a job at Boli, an outreach agency. And we're doing a lot of manual work. So think about this, picture this. We're writing close to 400 emails in a week, like manually by hand. And that was, for me, that was like the most, I don't know, tiring manual task I've ever done in my entire career. I was like, oh my God, how can I automate this? And then I stumbled upon Clay. I was like, oh, okay, Clay can help me do this. At the time, I thought it was too technical, right? I thought it was too technical. I was like, oh, I don't have a technical background. I don't know how to code. How do I do this thing? Like, it was just looking like a lot, right? So I just, dropped it and, just moved on my career, continued doing the manual stuff. And at the time when I was working at Talstack, so I worked with Tyre for a bit. I worked in at Talstack. I was like, okay, I think I want to learn how to automate all of my tasks, right? And I was like, okay, let's do Clay again. I did it for 2 months, seriously, this time around. And I was like, oh, I can actually do this, right? And then I learned how to use Clay and I got into a Clay agency. And that's been my journey so far. Yeah. So my major objective on this call is to paint the picture that Clay is not hard to learn. First of all, I don't have a technical background. I don't know how to code. So if you're here coming with, oh, this tool is so hard, I want you to, after leaving this webinar, I want you to have like a clearer head and just say, okay, you can actually do this. So I'll start from scratch. So this is a 101 class, right? So from the basics, right? The first thing I would like to explain is what is clay, right? I know a lot of you know clay. I'm not sure what you know about clay, but so if anyone wants to quickly share, like, what do you think clay is? And maybe we can start from there. So I'll just call anyone randomly. I think AJK, because you already said something earlier. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So uh, I know that Clay is a data enrichment platform. Yeah. So I tried to like watch the videos on their channel. Like when I signed up for Clay, I saw like there like some videos on their channels. But it was like a bit much. The English was too much. But what I could grasp was that Clay is a data enrichment platform and it's really good at what it does. So yeah.
Clay is a type of soil. That's so basic, Tayo. Okay. Thank you so much, ADK. You are right. But like I like to see clay this way. So for me, clay is just spreadsheets on steroids, right? And let's think about it this way. Everything that clay does, we all do this on a day-to-day. Like, so think about this. You want to write your copywriting, you're doing sales, you're doing copywriting, you're reaching out to prospects, you're sending emails. So the only thing that clay does for you is it automates that process. So instead of having to write copy in your Google Doc, then having to find emails or maybe Apollo, and then coming back and then exporting the prospect and then moving it to another platform, maybe like your Instantly or HubSpot. What Clay does is it allows you to have like a workbook, like an Excel, I would say, that you can quickly like automate all of these processes at once. Like instead of having to open like different platforms, trying to source this, put this together, download sheets, do that. That's basically what Clay is. And like I feel like everyone here already does that, right? However, not in a very systematic way, basically. So that's it. Like, it's nothing more than that. So yeah, on their website they speak a lot of English, right? But yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do, which is you're trying to enrich your data from different data sources, and just put everything together. Another misconception that people have is that Clay has incorrect data. That is not true, because Clay is just the platform. It's just a tool to automate. Your data comes from different data sources, right? So I just wanted to also clarify that. And yeah, so let's start from scratch. Let me share my screen. Does anyone have any questions for me so far about what I just said, or yeah, any contributions whatsoever? Can also take that as well. Let me stop sharing. Are people saying stuff in the comments? Oh, crazy. Sorry, that's all I say. Okay. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Great. So let me go back. Let me hide. Let me see if I can hide this tab here. I'm trying to hide this. Okay, I think I can just close it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so when you log into Clay, this is the first thing. You have like your home page, on your home page right now. The first thing I'll teach you how to do is to organize your space. So it's very important, because if you continue building in Clay, you have a ton of tables, you have a lot of folders, and you might just scatter things around. So the first thing I would like to show you here is how to create a new folder. So you just click new and you click folder. So let's name this Clay 101 Red Stars, right? Right, and then you create. Now we have this. We have this right now. So if you click on this, you see that this is empty, right? So now we want to create a new table, right? If you want to create a new table, all you need to do is click here again and click on table. You have blank table, right? And then from this table, you can then move this table, for example, to a folder. So if you want to move it to this folder, you just click on it and you're able to move it to this folder. So let's quickly move this to this folder, right? So look at the custom table that we opened. All you need to do is just drag and drop it inside there. And then we have it here, right? So let's rename this. Let's say, we can name it whatever, but that doesn't matter. So now the next thing I'll teach you how to do is how to find contacts, right? Let me just quickly check. Second, yeah. So let's find contacts. So for every enrichment or everything you're looking for inside Clay, this button here, this add enrichment, literally has everything. So you click on add enrichment, right? And then, sorry, you say find company, right? So you have different ways to find companies. You can find company lookalikes, you can find companies at company, you can find company domain, you can find different things here, but that's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is actually find companies, right? So what I would expect us to do here is to just click on import from find company here, right? And then when you click find company, you can add the industries you're looking for. So for example, let's say we want to find companies in, let's pick something random. Let's say, let's just say financial services. And let's say we want to exclude, we don't want to exclude anything. Let's find 11, 51 to 200, 500 to 1000. Let's say they are privately held or not. Let's just leave that. This is just a sample. And then we can put a limit on number of companies we want to find, but we don't care about that. So let's preview. So we have here 100 records. We can have more if we put a limit, but let's import this, right? We can import it into an existing table, right? So we click on add to existing table, and we want to search the table as, you know what, let's just import to a new table because there's so many custom tables here. So import, right? You want to leave this as a basic profile because I don't have credits, and then you continue for free. Right? And now we have a company table of different companies. The next thing we might want to do, say for example, you're building a workflow where you want to know the tech stack of these companies, right? So you have already the name, the description, the primary industry, the domain as well. Say for example, you're building a workflow and it's important for you to know the kind of tech stack that they use. Do they use HubSpot? Do they use Salesforce? Do they use, different kind of tech stack? The first thing you do here, you just click. If you click on any column, you click on insert right. Sorry, am I moving too fast? Does anyone have any questions for me? Because I want this to be very, very interactive. Let me just stop for a bit. Hello? Yeah, I can't see anything if someone is speaking.
Oh, no, people say we're all good.
Okay, we're all good. So now what we're trying to do, if you remember, is find the tech stack that you're working with, right? So we click on this, right? And then we click insert to the right. So it's either you just go straight here to add enrichment, or if you want to make sure that your column that you're creating is just beside, either to the right or left of the column you're trying to find stuff for, all you need to do is just click on the column. It brings up this tab. You click insert right, and then you click add enrichment. So we're looking for tech stack, right? So right now inside of Clay, there's something we call built with, right? So find technology. I'm sure a couple of people know what built with is. So on built with, you're able to find like the technologies that the companies you're trying to prospect to have, right? So inside of Clay, they've already, pretty much created that, so you can easily find the technology stack. If you have a built with key already, all you need to do is create a HTTP call and then use your build key. I'll also show you that as well. But for this, we just click on build with. And now let me explain this concept. So inside Clay, or in general in life, for you to get an output, right, you have to have an input, right? So for every integration or everything you're trying to build inside Clay, you must have an input. So think about this logically. If I was to find the technology stack of a company, ideally what I would use is the company domain, right? So, and this is the company domain right here. So that has to be my input. If, for example, you go ahead to use maybe name, it doesn't make any sense, right? Because you cannot use the name of a company to find the tech stack that they use, right? It only makes sense for you to use company domain. And if you're unsure of your inputs, whenever you're running integration, you can always ask ChatGPT. So you can ask ChatGPT to tell you, the inputs to find like the technology stack for a company, and it tells you that it's the domain, right? So let's go back. So here we want to select domain as the input. You can add keywords. So for example, if you want to find if this company has HubSpots and you're only concerned about that, you can just type HubSpot here. If not, you can just leave it as empty and it would more or less like give you all of the technologies that the company has. So you click on continue to add fields, and then we click on save. So let me also show you this in Clay. Very, very important. If you're new to Clay and you don't have enough credit, like right now, all I have is barely like 100 credits. And that's something that is very important inside Clay, because if you're new to Clay, you're going to waste a lot of credits, right? So I always advise that when you're creating a new column, all you need to do is just save and don't run, right? It's very important, because if you click save and run 100, you're going to waste 200 credits, like just like that. And you're not sure what your workflow is. So I always advise that when you're creating a new column, you click on save and don't run. So if you save and don't run, let's see what happens there. That's created a new column, right? So you can see that all of this hasn't run. So let's run, let's say the first 10. You have the opportunity to maybe run the first 10. If you don't want to do it that way, say you want to run the first 5, all you need to do is click on the column. You see run information or run column, you click on it, and you're able to choose the number of rows to run. So let's say, for example, we want to run just 2, right? You can do that, and then you just start. You can also choose where to start running from, but for this we don't care about that, so we're just going to run 2 columns. You can also run columns individually if you like, right? But I always advise to run, just run a few first to make sure that your integration works before you run the entire thing, so you don't waste credit. So you can see here, for this particular domains, we have 600, and for this particular domain, we have 622. This has whatever, right? This has 408. This other one has 436. So now the next thing we want to do is check for if they have HubSpot. So for example, this use case is useful if you want to check, do they have HubSpot? Do you care about if they have Salesforce? Do you care about if they have Zoom Info? Like, depending on what you care about. So if you want to check this particular thing, the next thing I'll introduce you to is what we call filters, right? Does anyone have any question for me before I show you that? Yeah. Nobody has questions. That's weird. Does anyone have any question? Okay, nobody does. Fine. So let's, yeah.
Well, so Chizoba, if there are no questions, is it that we all understand or we're not following? Let's be sure.
I mean, it really depends, but I would like us to ask questions, and you can stop me at any point in time. If something comes to your head looking at this, you can ask me, and I just keep, tell me.
Okay. Hello. Bukumi.
Yeah.
Well, I think
How are you?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm entirely new to Play, so I don't know if I'll be bringing you back to explain, because I'm seeing most of this company are not local Nigerian companies. So can you tell me more about how we can interact with them, or can this work locally as well?
Of course, it can work locally. You can actually import, so let's click on import. So for example, if you're trying to find companies, you just click on find companies, and then you add, the companies you're looking for. So for example, if you want to find companies in Nigeria, right, you can do that here, right? This is just a test. I'm just showing you what click can do. However, yes, it's very useful for your own use case, and you can find companies in any country using these filters. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So if we don't have any more questions, so now the next thing we want to do.
Tayo has his hand raised.
Yeah, Tayo, please go on.
Yeah, good question here. Just to clarify that what we're looking at, and this entire table, for instance, is you have a list of companies, you have their location, domain name, and all of that. And what you're looking for, that other column, is you're looking for the tech stack of these companies.
Yes.
Right. And so if I was looking for pretty much anything to enrich my knowledge on these companies, like maybe where their HQ is, how many employees they have, what their revenue size is, I can create a new column and query for all of those, right?
Yes. So let's just do that. Very great question, right? So let's actually do that here. So if you want to enrich, let's say we want to enrich company, right? So we just click on enrich. You have the option to enrich person, enrich company. For this case, it's enrich company. Same thing I mentioned. Ideally, if you're trying to enrich a company, your input is also very important. So if you read this inside Clay, so it says company LinkedIn URL, company domain, sales navigator URL. But what we have in our table, we have the company domain, we have the LinkedIn URL. We all know that the most important platform when it comes to, would I say company data, or when it comes to, career or work life, it's LinkedIn, right? So I would advise that if you're enriching company, you should use the company's LinkedIn. So our input here will be LinkedIn URL, right? And then this only run if, so it's a conditional run. So for example, if you don't want to find the enrichment for companies for everyone inside this role, or if you have a particular criteria. So for example, the other lady mentioned, sorry, I forgot your name, Nigeria. So for example, if you want to find, companies in Nigeria, and maybe in your country column, you have different countries. You have maybe United Kingdom, Nigeria, whatever, and you only want to find for, let's say the UK in this case. Let's just use the UK in this case. This is where we use conditional. So for example, we want to just enrich only companies that are in the UK, right? So what we do is you can use this. So if you understand JSON, which I would say not everybody understands, so I had to learn how to use JSON to be able to play with Clay. So it's JavaScript, right? That's the coding language for Clay. So it's very basic. You can take classes on that. But if you do not want to, that's still fine. You can just use English. So use AI. So you just click use AI, for example, and you say only run if, remember our input, we always have to have an input. If country in this case is United Kingdom, right? Right. So let's say we only want to run if the country is United Kingdom, whatever is the United Kingdom, whatever. But yeah, that's how we use conditions. So does anyone have any questions before I run this and then maybe show Tayo the enrichment? So for example, company employees and all of that. Does anyone have any questions about these conditionals before we run it? I think we should just run it. So let's generate formula.
There's a question on the chat box, so let me read it. It's from I Live to Help.
Yeah.
So does every column added requires credit to run, or there's a number of column run and any other added one will need the credits?
So Clay has made it easy for you, right, to be able to have your own, add your own API keys. So for example, if you're trying to enrich company and you have, let's say, a Lead Magic, subscription. So what Lead Magic is Lead Magic helps you like enrich company data, people data. You're able to add that and use your own API key, right? And that doesn't cost anything. So if you have API keys for different platforms, for different data platforms, that helps you, and Clay doesn't charge you for that. However, if you do not have that, then you have to use credits inside Clay. Hope that's clear. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Nobody saying anything. I'll just say
you can unmute.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Okay, great. So let's get back to the conditional. So you see here, I said only run if the country, remember we always have to have an input, is the United Kingdom. And if you click on generate formula, you can see that it automatically generates like a JSON for you. However, you can always cross-check if this JSON is actually correct. So you see here, it would not run for this, no, because the country is not United Kingdom. It won't run for Brazil because it's not United Kingdom. It will run for the third column. It says yes, because it's United Kingdom, right? So we click output is correct, right? And then remember what I said, we just save and don't run because we're still learning this, right? So we save and don't run, automatically adds the column, and we run, let's say, the first 10. Let's see. So let's see what happens here. Let me bring this column over. If you want to pull your column, just like how you have, inside spreadsheets, you can just pull any column you like. So let's bring this closer so we can actually examine this. So you see here, it only runs for this United Kingdom, right? It doesn't run for any other column. Say we want to filter, right? Say we want to filter a column and say we only want to see columns that are United Kingdom. So let's copy this so that we make sure that we're filtering for the right thing. Say let's filter this. You can filter any column at all. So if you filter this, for example, we say country, it can either contain or be equal to. So I will advise anyone learning Clay to understand conditionals like and or. Like it's so important inside Clay. Like if you can understand the basics, we did that in maths, but like this is computer language, I would say. So it's the same thing inside Clay, right? It's the same thing when you're using Excel. So if you know how to use Excel very well, trust me, you're going to learn how to use Clay. So it's the same logic, right? So look at this. So we say country equals to, so let's say equals to United Kingdom. So we have 100 rows right now. You can see that it filters down to just 5. So only 5 rows have United Kingdom. So if you look at this, you see that the country, only 5 have United Kingdoms and only this has run. So let's run the other ones, right? You can see that this will run, right? And yeah, that's it. So now back to Tayo's question about enrichment. So let's open this. So inside Clay, everything is, how do I explain this now? We have different data inside columns. So if you have an enriched column, so these are called enriched columns. These are called random text. These are called this is called URL. So inside every enriched columns, you're able to click and then would I say expand or add data that you want inside of your table. So if you click on sex.io or whatever, you have the company URL, like Tayo mentioned. We also have, let's look at the company description. You have it here. You have the employee count, so the number of employees that they have. You have the logo. I don't think this is necessary. You have when they were founded, like basic information about the company that you might want to use, the company size as well. So if you want to add this to your table, all you need to do is just, you can see here as I hover on all of this data, it shows you to add column. So let's click on add. Let's add this, right? Company size. Let's add this. Let's also add the employee counts, right? So we added 2 columns to our, so you can see here, it's been added. That's basically how you add. Ty, I hope this answers your question. Yeah,
Yep.
Great. So the next thing I'll show you now is, so we want to clear this filter because we want to see everything in our table. The next thing I'll show you, okay, I wasn't done with this. So for example, if you wanted to then find maybe, for example, like hotspots, if any of these companies have hotspots, we then use what we call filter objects, right? And it's I think it's a lookup. Yeah, so filter list of objects. So the reason why we're using filter list of objects is because all of the data we need are inside like an object. So I'll show you that. Let me show you. So look at this. So you see technologies found, that's not what we're looking for. Like this is exactly what we're looking for. However, what we want is the name. So the reason why we're using filter by object is because all of this is an object, right? And we want to find inside all of these objects, what we want is for, let's say AI, not really AI. What we actually want to find is the name. So we want to check if this name or any of the names inside here have either HubSpot or Salesforce, right? So that's why we're using filter by object. So if you want to find that kind of data inside an enriched column, all you need to do is use filter by objects. So let's go back to that. So let's say filter list of objects, and then we have to add an array. So we have to give it the array of objects, right? So for this case, it's this data from built with. So we click on it. You can see inside the data, same thing we looked at when we looked at enrich company. We have what we call matches found, which has the name. So if you remember, that's what we looked at before we then created filter list of objects. So matches found, you click on it. And if you just want to find, say, for the first object, right, which is not the case, well, we just want to find inside maybe one of the technologies that we found. That's not the case. We want to find for all of them. So we want to check inside the 622 items for a particular name, right, which is HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever. So let's insert all, and then we add a filter. So the filter we should add here is name, right? Oh no, actually, the filter we should add here is maybe equals, no, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, I need to remember what to do here. Insert values. Yeah. Name. And then the filter field has to be, I think the filter field has to be name, and then the value has to be HubSpot, right? So let's check if you have HubSpot, or if you wanted to add Salesforce, you add Salesforce. If you wanted to add ZoomInfo, you add ZoomInfo. So the reason why we're saying filter field is name is because inside the object, the filter field is actually name. That's the name of the tech stack, right? And then the next thing we do is, as usual, we click continue, and we say save and don't run. Right, so let's run this and see if that's correct. Yeah. So we can boldly say that, you know, we didn't find HubSpot inside any of these, but let's actually check and look for a particular technology that we can find. Right, so if you click on matches found, name, this is what you're looking for. So that's why we added name, right, as the filter field. Let's look for, let's say, for example, let's look for this actually. Let's copy this and try to find this. And let's see if we find, so we actually have it inside here. Let's see if we would find that. So, no. 10. Yeah. You can either use equals to or contains, anyone. So equals to is you have to have the exact name. Contains is if it contains it, right? So you mustn't have the exact name. So it will just more or less like output if it contains any of the names, right? So let's click save and don't run. And let's run it again. Let's just run it first, then I'll see. This wouldn't run because there's no inputs, right? So this particular column needs this column to run, right? So, but if we run this now, let's run this actually. You can see that it starts to run, right? Because now it has an input to work with. So yes, it found a match for that particular tech stack because that tech stack is contained in this object, list of objects. Does anyone have any questions for me before I then show how to find people from inside this table? No one has any question.
I think you can proceed. Nobody.
Okay, cool. The next thing I'll then show how to do is find people, right? So remember the same thing we did when we wanted to find companies or whatever any enrichment we're looking for. Same button we clicked when we're trying to find technology or filter list of objects. This same button helps you find contacts. So let's say want to find contacts, right? So inside Clay, they have different data sources, right? You can either find contacts using Clearbit. Again, if you have an API key for Clearbit. You wouldn't pay any money to do this. Same with Apollo. You can connect your Apollo key and then use that inside Clay. But for this demo, I would use find contacts at company, because this particular enrichment uses LinkedIn to find contacts. So if I click on find contacts at company, it will then ask me a question. Would you like to save your search results for find contacts at company in a new table? This is recommended because it will let you see each contact as a separate role. But that's not what I'm trying to achieve here, because I also want to show you how to write to table. So I would say save result in this table. So we click on that, and then we have this, right? Again, what are we using to find contacts? You can either use your company domain, sales navigator URL, all of that. However, in this table, we're going to be using the LinkedIn URL. So that's the LinkedIn URL of the company. Remember, for every enrichment inside Clay, you need an input. In fact, to create a new column, you need an input, right? For everything, you need an input. So let's click on this. Let's say, for example, we want to find job titles, a particular job title. You just click on the job title and add, say, for example, SDR. We're also maybe interested in BDR. Let's say we're also interested in manager. This is just random, or let's just say sales, right? And yeah, again, if you want to only run if, say, the country of the company is United Kingdom, you can add that here, or whatever use case you want. So for example, if you only want to run if it's a non-profit, or if it's, a privately held company, or a publicly held company, like, you can literally do whatever. The conditional run allows you to select a condition for your run. So for example, if you only want to run if the primary industry is financial services, you can add that here. But for this case, let's just continue. So we click on continue to add fields. And so what this allows you to do is, if you want to immediately output some certain things from your run, so let's say first name, last name, whatever, but that's not the case for this particular use case, right? So we just click on save and don't run as usual, because we don't want to waste credits. Now, let's run the first, let's say we want to run the first 5. I just want to show you again how to do that. You click on the column, you click this run information or run column, you choose the number of runs you want to make. So let's say you want to make 6 runs, right? The reason why we're doing this is so that we can conserve credits. And then we click on run enrichment. And let's see what happens here. Okay, so we have run this. It found 7 people for the first company. Look at the people it found. Let's see. Title, leverage finance sales. So if you want your search to be very tailored, all you need to do is add specific job titles. And when you even try to run it, you're able to, make sure that it's an exact match. Let me actually show you that. Let's see if they have that in here. Find. I just wanted to show you guys this. So let's say find company, save search in the same table. Yeah. So you're able to say, yeah. So if you want it to be an exact match, you make sure to tick this, right? If you want job titles to include past experiences, you can actually tick this here. Job titles to exclude keywords. So for example, if you're running a search for maybe BDRs, SDRs, and you don't care about maybe, what will I use now? Maybe you only care about senior roles and you don't care about executives, you can just add that here, right? So let's close this tab and continue with what we have. So you close tab and don't save. So yeah, now we found all these people at these companies. What I then want to show you is how to write to table. So I don't know if anyone here is familiar with writing to table inside of Excel, but if you're not, the idea is that we try to write, will I say, objects like all of this. So for example, we just want to see what's inside all of these objects. So for example, want to just write the name, the title, the country, maybe the link to URL of this person, and that's all we care about. We can create a write to table enrichment that writes all of this information for us for each company, right? So all of this inside here, it would write. So this person is just one. This is 86. So now let's create that, right? What we need to do is click on add enrichment. Does anyone have any questions for me? I feel like nobody's asking questions, and I'm worried that nobody's understanding what I'm saying. Or are we still like new to this, or like am I moving too fast? Tell me.
Um,
All right.
you
So
can
I think
omit
I'm
that
very
too.
new
Okay,
to.
right.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I think I'm very new to this, so I think I may need like a entry level training. So I want to understand from what I've gotten so far is like
Mhm.
we're trying to like get insight into different companies and the technologies they run. Is it
Exactly.
for sales purposes or is it for marketing purposes? So I just need to have that background.
Okay. So it can be for any purpose. So the idea is I'm just trying to show you how to get data inside Clay. Your use case is different from my use case. The reason why Clay is called Clay is because you can literally build your own use case. Like you can build anything inside. So for example, maybe you give me um, an example of what you're looking to build with Clay, and maybe we can, try to build that in here. So right now, what role are what company do you work for, and what role are you currently occupying, and how do you think Clay would help like your workflow? Maybe we can then build something that'll be relevant for you. Yeah, but this is me just showing like what Clay can do and just the basic features. Would you like to share with us maybe a use case, and maybe I can explain how you can achieve that inside Clay?
All right. So my company is into software development, energy, solar energy, and all that. So we do different things. So I think what I'll be interested in is how to get maybe customers
Mhm.
from Click. Can Click get me like leads or something like that? I think that would be the best use case for me right now.
Yeah. So yes, Click can get you leads. Um, and all you need to do is just like I showed earlier, right? You click on add enrichment and you say find um company, right? And you're able to find like say companies that you're looking for, right? Or if you want to just import a bunch of companies, you click import and then you're able to import companies, right? If you have a CSV of companies that you already have and maybe you want to enrich their data with people data, you can click on import from CSV, and once you have that inside Clay, you can then build all of the features that you want, right? Yeah, but like that's basically what Clay can do. However, if you want to build use cases, everybody's use case is different, I would say. And yeah, if maybe what we should have done, Joy, is maybe build a use case for a particular company. But yeah, I just thought to show you the basic features first.
I think Chizoba, we can still do that, right? If anybody's willing to actually share what their use case would be, like what they do, what the use case would be, and then you can use that as an example instead of just saying, oh, a company in US, a company, like, we should have exact case study.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to volunteer, please,
I
now is
mean,
the time.
she already volunteered, so maybe we can actually start with
Use her.
let's
Okay, use her, yes.
yes, let's actually start with her, right? Okay, no worries. Okay. So let's find companies. Um, again, what's your industry?
Tech. I'll say we're into tech.
What
Tech,
kind
and
of
then what?
what kind of companies are you looking for? It says software.
Yeah, companies who are into software that would need software for their businesses, and those who will be interested maybe in solar energy or something like that.
Okay, so tell me the industries that you currently work with.
Okay, presently we work with education, and we
Okay,
work with oil and gas as well.
okay, okay. Oil and gas and mining is good. Okay, what other industries do you work with?
Okay, we work with advertising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just have this for now, right? If you wanted to exclude industries, what industries would you exclude?
Let's say government, anything government or FMCG.
Okay. I don't think we have FMCGs inside here now, but let's just say government, right? Let's say how many employees do you typically target? Companies with how many employees?
Say from 200, 200 upward.
Okay. Mind you, this is a free account that I have, so I'm not sure how many you can get.
Okay.
Privately held, right?
Yeah.
Do you have like, would I say keywords that you usually like for description? So for example, in software companies, like what kind of software companies do you go after?
Okay. I'm looking for companies who are uh who would need maybe white labeling. I don't know how
Okay.
we can put that. Yeah, white labeling or software as a service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should just go with the broader scope first and see.
Okay.
Minimum followers count, that doesn't matter. Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
You can also
in
add Ghana. Maybe okay. Can we do more than one country? Yeah.
Ghana, what other country? Let's just see this for now.
Okay.
And let's preview. It won't show so many because this is a free account I'm using. But if you have a paid account, I think
Oh,
you're only limited to 100 because this is a free account, right?
okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yes, these are some companies. So let's import. So we want to
Okay.
import to a new table. Um, do you care about head counts? We can do that with another enrichment, but let's just import the basic ones first.
Mm.
Continue for free. And yeah, so we have the companies here.
Oh
Are
wow.
these the kind of companies that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Cool. The next thing you might want to do is, I'm guessing you want to find people in these companies, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so to do that, like I said earlier, all you need to do is click on add enrichments and you click find contacts, right? So we're going to find contacts. What kind of people are you looking to find?
I'm
What kind
looking
of
for
type?
decision makers, say
Okay,
operations or CEO or
okay. So let's say director, VP, C-suite, owner,
Mm,
partner, head, maybe. Do you care about managers?
yeah.
Okay,
So
let's just leave it at this.
yeah.
Specific keywords you're looking for, like maybe say for example, head of what, director of what, manager of what.
Uh, mm. Okay. Operations or say marketing or finance.
Okay, finance,
Uh,
marketing, sales. Do you care about sales?
yeah, sales too.
Okay, great. Um, do you care about how long they've been at the role? or like, anyways, you can always add that. Do you care about their location? So where are they located? You want them to be located in Nigeria, because there's some people that work in a Nigerian company but are not in Nigeria at the moment.
Definitely.
You can also add company size. So for example, you only care about people that have, maybe from 200 and above. But anyways, our table is already segmented because we have only people that are from, I think, 200. So we don't need to add this anymore. So yeah, let's just save as usual and don't run. Then we'll run the first 10 because of credits. So let's run the first 10. And let's see. Taking a while to load. Does anyone have any questions while I'm loading this? Yeah, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I heard I said something about white labeling. I have no idea what that is. Can you explain what that is for me, please?
Okay, I'll give the floor to her. You can explain.
All right, good afternoon. So for a software company, so we have some in-house softwares. So a company, maybe financial institutions or something, could say, okay, they need that app or the application to run for them, but they don't want it to run as our product, right? So we can kind of customize it for their use case. You understand me? So it
Oh,
runs as
okay. I get it now.
so it's just like we create a software or an application, and then they want to have the ownership. So we
This is
just
taking time to load. Not sure why.
Thank you,
But
Bukumi.
yeah.
it's taking some time to load. But what the next step we'll do is to write the table. So now that we have all this information about the company, we then want to write all of the information from the people that we found to another table, because it just makes sense to look at company table differently and then people table. I don't know why this is not running or why this is taking some time to load up.
Oh, all right. Sorry, Chizoba. This is actually fine. I think I now understand to some extent use case, right? So my next question is it possible for us to is it download or get this data out, or we still
Of
have to
course.
use them locally?
Okay, great. That's a very good question. So if you wanted to download this data, right, all you need to do is click on actions and you can see export here and you just download CSV,
All right.
right? And let's say you want to then open up the CSV and see what we have in it. Let's just say, right, blank sheets, and we want to import, right? Just how you typically import your data. Upload, and you import it real quick. Yeah. So yeah, this is everything that we have from the clay table, right? The description, company type, location, employee size. Yeah, that's basically how you do that. Yeah, go on, please ask me. I'm happy that people are asking questions now. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that your tab didn't change. We were only seeing the single tab you shared earlier, which was the export
Oh,
tab.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, maybe stop sharing and share everything. Okay, great. So this was what I was showing you. So I imported it into this CSV. Yeah, and that's just it. So let's go back to our table. I think this has finally come up. So right, so we have defined the contacts that we found for these companies, right? And then we want to see, so because it's just kind of hard to look at this, like we want to see all of this information. So these 25 people we have, we want to write them to another table, right? The way Clay currently works is if you find 25 people, it's only able to write 10, and that's a restriction. However, if you want to, make sure you get everything, I think there's a way to do that. You just click on find people, right? You see, find an enriched person. Let me see, import. Yeah, so you just find people here. So the same thing we did, all the information you use for find contacts, you just write everything here, and then automatically opens a new table where you can have all these 25 people that are here. But for now, if we were to write to a table, so let me also show you how to write to table. So to write to table, say we want to write this information, and this can be useful for any context. So for example, if you want to write some of this information you have here, right, to another table, right? You don't want to go to a first table and start looking for this information again. You can just write it to another table. So let me show you how that works. So click on add enrichment. You write to table, write to other table. And now what we'll do is we select the table we want to write to, right? If you already have a table you want to write to, you just click on select table. However, if you don't, just click on new table and it automatically creates it in that same workbook. So you can see that it's already named right from this table, which is find companies table, right? And then now you select a list. So what we're trying to do, if you remember, is to write all of these people that we have found to a new table. And they are inside a list, like they're inside an object, right? So if you select a list, right, find contacts a company, you see people here, you click on people, right? You see that this then contains like different objects, right? So we want to insert all 10. So that's the limit right now. You can only insert 10, right? So you click on people, and then you add values from the object. So remember we saw the name, the title, the company name, and all of that information. So now what this does is that it allows you to, select what you want to write to the other table. So in this case, we want to write the name. So we click on name, and then we then match it to another column inside this write from. This is a bit confusing, but I guess you understand it later on. So you click on new column. So now we've created a new column inside of this table, right? And we're matching the name from here inside to the name. Yeah, go on, ask me a question.
Yeah, my question is not particular to what you are talking about. So I want to ask, like, how can we connect like our Apollo API to Clay, which is number one, and also for Clay, for Apollo, there is an amount of data you can actually export in Apollo, like a limited amount of data you can export. Do we also have that restriction also on Clay also?
Yes, for sure. Like whatever restriction you have on your normal API keys, it definitely will still be the same thing inside Clay. That's why many people don't use Apollo inside Clay, to be honest, because of that restriction. So if you have, for example, 20K credits inside your Apollo account, if you bring it to Clay, you're only going to have 20 credits still. Like it doesn't change the number of credits that you have inside your API key. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm talking about like after using Apollo, then I got all the lead and contacts. For Apollo, there is amounts of data you can actually export. There's a restriction based on the kind of what you actually pay for. For Clay also, do we have like that restriction? Like we can't send more than this, export more than this on Clay also, or is unlimited?
Unlimited, you can export as long as it's your table. You can export as much as you want. Like when you click on export CSV, it exports the current table you're trying to export. So you can, if you have, so right now on Clay, you have you can only create 73 columns, right? 73 columns and 50,700 rows. So if, for example, you have a Clay table that has 50,700 rows and you want to export it, you can export it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great. So let's continue. Hope everyone gets what I'm trying to do here, which is I'm trying to write all of the company name, the people name, the title, important information I need to move forward, right? So let's continue. So now we've added the name. We want to add, let's say, the job title, right? So we click on title and then we create a column inside of this table. I'll show you what it looks like once we're done. Let's say we also care about maybe the summary of the person. Same thing we do here, create new column. Now, this add other data from this table allows you to add all of this other data, right? So for example, if you're done adding the data of the person, right, or the contacts you found, say you want to add or you want to write the LinkedIn URL, the domain to the other table, that's where you do that here. So add other data allows you to do that. So let's say we want to write the domain, right? So domain, we also have to create a new column in this table, right? We also want to write maybe the LinkedIn URL. And then we add it as well. And now, same thing we did for the former role, the enrichment role, we just save and don't run. Always remember to save and don't run, because if you save and run, you're going to waste credits. So now let's write the first 10, right? Now, you can see what happens here. This only writes 10. Like I told you, there's a restriction right now for this particular enrichment, right? This one writes 1, this one writes 4, this writes 10. It doesn't write anything for these two because there are no profiles found. That's why it's showing you invalid input here, right? So now let's go to the table that we wrote to. This is the table we wrote to, right? You can see all of the data now. So we wrote this guy, John Da Silva, all of these guys here. And then we can quickly view their title, their name, their summary, their domain, their LinkedIn URL, and whatnot. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for me before I show you maybe how to find company news or something inside of your table? For one.
Okay, how about getting like their contact details, maybe like email address, phone numbers?
Great.
I can't find it here.
Great. That's a very good question. Again, if you wanted to find contact details, the first thing you have to do is click on add enrichment. Everything is inside add enrichment, whatever you're looking for. So say, for example, you're looking for phone numbers. You just type phone number and it brings up a couple of enrichments. I will explain what waterfalls mean and how you can use them. If you want, for example, emails, like you said, personal email, work email, you can find them in here. What else do you want? I don't know. If you want to just enrich each of this person, right, you just click on enrich. So enrich person allows you to, enrich, say find more information about this person, right? And ideally, your input should be your LinkedIn URL. So your LinkedIn URL can help you enrich. So it has to be a social LinkedIn URL, right? Because it's only your LinkedIn profile that can be used to enrich you as a person. You cannot use a company LinkedIn profile to enrich a person, right? A person's contacts. So yeah, that's basically it. But let me show you the email one. So we don't save. Let's go back. Let's say you want to find email, right? So do you want personal email or work email? Which do you prefer?
Work email.
Great. So we have work email enrichment for SMB and enterprise. So in this case, I'm thinking because of the kind of companies we're working with, I think enterprise would be a better fit, right? The lady that gave me the use case, I think enterprise would be a better fit. Let's select enterprise. Now I'm going to, right. So I'm going to explain this to you. Okay, yeah. Okay. Final domain. Okay, great. So now, for some of these email data providers, right, what is needed is most likely the full name and social profile URL is your LinkedIn URL. Because we don't have that in this table, this is just the LinkedIn URL of the company. This is not the LinkedIn URL of the person. So some of these enrichment tools, so these are all enrichment tools. These are all email finders, right? So we have Wizard, we have Hunter, we have Lead Magic. What this waterfall does for you is it first of all checks, let's say, for example, if you put Lead Magic up here, what we're saying is we want you to first of all check Lead Magic. If you don't find the right email inside of Lead Magic, you go to Hunter. If you don't find it inside Hunter, you go to Find Email. If you don't find inside, like just like that. So we're creating a waterfall. Now, Nimbler and Rocket Switch would not work because for them to work, they require an input, which is the personal URL, like the person's personal URL, right? That's why they won't work. So now what we can do is take them out because we see that they can't run, right? And then we then save. So we can also add zero bounds. So what zero bounds does is when it finds the email, it will check automatically to validate the email to make sure that it's a valid email. We can change the validation email tool to maybe like a Lead Magic because I actually prefer Lead Magic, right? Or if you don't feel like validating at all, you can decide to remove your provider. So let's remove it in this case. If you don't want to validate, so you just want to find the email and send, but that's not the right way to go. You should validate. And I'll show you how to create another column and validate your emails. So now, next thing we want to, does anyone have any questions for me about the waterfall I have created here and maybe how to create the waterfall? If you want me to go back, I can go back again. I think we're over time actually. Oh yeah, I'll just, take the remaining 10 minutes to share. Does anyone have any questions before we do this? Great, so let's just continue. So now we want to save and don't run, right, as usual. I'm going to explain what exactly is happening. So if you remember, we created a waterfall. So the idea is that this runs first, the Lead Magic enrichment runs first. If there is no email on Lead Magic, it moves to this one, which is find work email. I can't remember Hunter. Yeah. If it doesn't find, it goes here and so on. So now to run this particular enrichment, as usual, you click here and run. Let's run the first 10 and see what happens. It's taking some time to load up on my internet. While that is running, let me also run an enrichment for phone numbers, right? Same way we run for email. You can either just click on add enrichment, or you can click here and add enrichment, or you can click on a particular column and add enrichments from here. But let's just click here and let's say phone number, right? Let's say if you're running with companies that are from EMEA, you can select that. If you're running with global companies, whatever. But for this use case, let's just select EMEA because, as you mentioned, we're running with Ghana, Kenya, and all those guys. Now, again, for inputs, you can see here that most of these tools wouldn't run. And in fact, I need an upgrade to be able to run this enrichment. To find phone numbers, you need to work with an a paid account. So you can't run with a free account, right? And to also find phone numbers, you need the person's LinkedIn URL. Ask me why. Because on LinkedIn, most people fill in their information. Most of the things we work with inside Clay, or most of the, would I say, email finding tools, or would I say phone number finding tools, work with information inside LinkedIn, right? And most times people just fill their, would I say, their phone numbers, right? And that's why this particular enrichment is asking for the LinkedIn URL, right? So we can't do this. But yeah, that's how to find phone numbers inside Clay. Let's go on. It didn't find any email, unfortunately. This is quite unfortunate. I'm wondering why. Let's see. Has my credit finished? My credit has not finished. So what we'll then do is we should add more enrichment tools. So if we didn't find here, you can just add more. So if you click on edit column, you just add more, right? So we don't, this Prospero is very good actually. Let me see. We didn't find, oh, we didn't add that. Actually, we did not add Prospero. Let's see. Let's add this and see if we want. Okay. Yeah, this is finding. My table is going crazy. Let me stop. You can see what happens when you don't set the number of columns to run. It just goes crazy. But yeah, I want to stop running so that my credit wouldn't finish. Can everyone still hear me? But yeah, we did find a couple of emails, but it didn't run accordingly how I wanted it to. But yeah, that's basically how to find emails and phone numbers. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for me? Let me stop running. It takes a while for it to stop, and your credits will have finished before it stops. So that's why you always have to be careful when you're running these columns. Yeah, so it has stopped now. Let me see if I still have credits. I still have 92. Oh yeah, does anyone have any questions for me? I think I'll stop sharing and maybe just answer questions.
Not a question, but I don't know what time, because I see you mentioned about time. But I'd love
Yeah.
to see how you then automate based on the enrichment to send personalized emails in terms of the outreaches.
Okay. So for example, give me an instance.
Say for example, we've enriched. The enrichment here is on the contact basis, but personalized emails then in terms of contextual situations, company news, company awards, personal awards, new job announcements, to then send a pitch to the person based on those contexts for each person's what's it called, detail.
Okay, so let's say for example, you've written your messaging, right? And let me just go to what mailing tool do you use? Currently?
HubSpot, Apollo, both.
Okay, you use okay. Let's say you've written something, right? You say hi, first name, right? This is what you mean, right? First name, and okay, I saw your recent announcement, or I saw your recent news about hiring salespeople. This is just random anyways, right? Let's see, I saw your recent news about, let's also personalize this, for example, right? Quick context about the news, and thought to reach out, right? Would maybe say what kind of thing are you selling? Let's say you're selling a software that helps them hire people faster or something like that, right? Would it make sense to automate the hiring process, right? At let's say company name, right? This is another personalization, right? We help this is just value prop, right? Now, how we can personalize this is if you have, I recommend instantly, but if you have an Apollo account, I don't think you can send information. Let me actually see into Apollo using Clay. Nah, you can't send information. Okay, yeah, you can actually tribute column sequence. Let's see. And email, send email from this. Let me see. Post. I've never used this before. I've actually never used this before. But in this case, let's just use, let's say instantly, for example, or HubSpot. Let's see. Can do that here. Can't do that because I need an upgrade. Let's say instantly. See if I can do that instant. Oh, we also cannot add that. But what you would do is you create this campaign that we have here in our Scratchpad inside instantly, right? And then we would then inside our Clay table, right? When we're sending to instantly, we'll add, let's say, all of the variables. So first name, right? We'll add the first name from this table. So we'll match it as first name, which is name. We've obviously not cleaned the name, but I'm just showing you an instance. Then the next variable would be maybe company name, right? And then we add the company name. Do we have company name in our table? No, we don't. But for this context, if we had company name at table, we'll just match it right inside here. But we can also create custom variables. So let's say, for example, we want to add the domain, which is what we have inside our table, right? So that particular sequence, right? And then this part that says quick context about the news, we would have to then find news for each of these guys, right? Let me show you that. I can't save this because this is a paid account, but yeah, what you would do is maybe after finding the news and you clean that up, you send that in as a custom variable as well. What it would do is that since you've already created this, I'm assuming you've already created this inside instantly, it will send all of these variables to that particular campaign. Does that make sense? Does my explanation make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. The automation makes sense. I really just wanted to find out if we can take context specific based on the context we find for each company.
Yes, it can.
Automate the outreach since I mean Apollo can build sequences, but the automation, the personalization was much more the context, not even the name and the more like context of company, new announcements, new reach.
Now,
yeah, that's
what we can do is there are two ways to go about this. So if you want to find news, for example, you can do that in here actually. Let's say news. So we can find most recent news and then build out a personalization. We'll find news with the domain, and then let's say we run this. This might not find anything, but I'll show you another way we can do this. Right. So let's run the first 10 and see if the company has any news. So I think this particular data source is getting information from Google. It didn't find anything. So now what we can do is we can use Claygen, something called Claygen, right? So what Claygen does is that it literally scrapes the internet for you, right? So we can use Claygen and build a prompt, right? So for every prompt, I have a formula that I use to build prompts, which I can share with you guys actually. So this is my formula for building prompts. Let's take it to our table. Now, the idea is that, like you mentioned, we're trying to tell Claygen to find news, right? Company news, right? What kind of news are you looking for example? Give me an example of the news you're looking for.
So it could be a new raise, fundraising. It could be new partnership announcements in terms of a new tech partner. in this situation, and it could be a new management, maybe a new CEO, a new director, something that's planning to take the company forward, just something around that. That's just basically the context, and it's just a bland. It's not just another bland outreach. Do you understand?
Okay, great. So now what we want to do is build a prompt. So I would like you to start with to establish that the AI has an expert role. I'm not sure. Do you build prompts? Like when I say prompting, I mean, there's something called prompt engineering, which is very important. You're able to build prompts and talk to AI to tell you exactly what you want, and this is where that skill comes in handy. So the idea is you always have to tell AI, oh, you're an expert at this. So let's say you're an expert, right, at researching or finding. You're an expert at finding news or finding company news, right? So this, now we've established that the AI is an expert, right? So now I have to define the role, right, that I want, or the mission that I want, define the audience type. This is not relevant in this case. So we can actually go to the mission, right? So now you mentioned that the mission, right? Your mission, right, is to find funding news using a company's website, right? That's the mission for the AI. So you have to leave the mission. Now we can then, set expectations. What kind of news do you want? How do you want the news to be like? Like, can you explain what that is to me so I can also prompt it?
Yeah, the news could be like, a major shift that would, do you understand, a major shift in the next wave of the company, or something that will majorly spur them into the next level of development.
Could be a major announcement, I guess. Can we say that?
Yeah, that suffice.
Okay, that the company is sharing with the general public, right? This is just random, by the way. Someone is calling me. Another thing we can then tell is okay, how do we want our output to look like, right? Specific. So now this is an opportunity for you to give it the input. So your input is the company websites, right? So now we give it the input. We say input. Then we keep it the domain, right? Now for your output structure in your email, what kind of output do you want to see? Do you want to see, okay, I saw the company recently got maybe funding or recently signed partnerships with this company, something like that. That's the kind of output you're looking for, right? So let's say step one, how do you want it to find this information for you? Step one, I want you to visit the company websites, right? Which makes sense. Check the about. Is it where do they usually keep announcements? I think it's in the news, right? The news section, right?
Yeah, news, blog, resources,
Exactly.
media.
Resources and anything related to anything that gives you, right, information about a recent move, right? Basically. So now we've told you where to go to. Then for the output, I want your output to be in this structure. This is just a random prompt, by the way. Always start with the prefix So then we give it the prefix, which is I saw, right? Make sure to include a short summary of the news you found, right? What else can we tell it? We can tell it to make sure your output is concise and brief. But you get the gist, right?
Yep.
Is concise and brief. I only expect you to output 5 words or less. Like, you have to tell AI exactly what you want, right? Now, what we'll do is we'll then give it examples, right? So we say examples. I saw sorry, can you mute? I saw your recent funding news. Sorry, just say I saw your partnership news or something. Your recent partnership with Helium, something like that. So we can give you more examples, and yeah, that's basically it. So what I like to do is, after writing a rough sketch of my prompts, I just give it to ChatGPT, make this prompt clearer or something like that. Something like that. Then it gives me the prompt, and then I just copy and paste it. Great. Exactly. So now it has helped you with that prompt. You just copy and you paste it here. And then make sure to change this, the input, to domain, right? So let's read it. You are an expert at finding company news. Your mission is to identify recent funding news or major announcement from a company's website. The input is domain. Instructions: visit the company website using the provided domain. Explore sections like news, blog, press releases, or resources to find the most recent publicly shared. Exactly. Craft your output in this exact order. Output structure: I saw your recent this. Keep your summary concise and no more than 5 words. Focus on major announcements like funding rounds, partnership, product launches, or these examples. So, like, this is the structure, and that's the best way to get AI to do what you want. Yeah, so we're taking out these parts. So I also like to add this stacks is super important or something, just warning it, right? It's important to me. If you fail at it, I would lose my job. I would die. I can even say I would die, or my cat dies, or something. Like, you have to, like, I don't know. This is just me. Exactly. That is very, yeah, concise. So let's run it for the first 10 and see what happens. Oh, you need 10 to run? No. Let's just run for 1. And then let's see what it gives you. So this is just prompting, right? However, you might not get it at your first prompt. You have to keep prompting and prompting and prompting till you get. You also have to consider the negatives. So we didn't add the negatives, right? So if it doesn't find anything, what should the AI do, right? We didn't add that. If you don't find any news, outputs no, right? And nothing else. Okay, can keep it in capital letter so that you know. It knows what to do. So save and don't run. This is taking time to run. So now when it runs that, if your prompting skills are really good, it would give you this exact output, right? And when you're then adding your leads to maybe your Apollo or instantly, you can just map it out. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, klar. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions? I think we're done. But let's just load up. Let's see. Does anyone have any other questions? I hope this class was really helpful because many people were not saying anything. Maybe because everyone is still like new to the platform. And it's a lot sometimes. Yeah.
Good thing is the recording will be available on YouTube.
I
Yeah,
know.
I was going to say that. So we can watch it and listen to it as many times as we want to get it.